lot of these episodes lately, I've been making some that have been very must see because they're really getting good as you go up in the series, and a lot more episodes that I'm familiar with that I was very entertained by it. I gotta say though, the parking garage to me, I feel, my personal opinion, is one of my favorite episodes. It's one of the more must see episodes in this series. Like, you think about Seinfeld, and you maybe think about episodes like the contest, the yada yada. Coming up soon will be the episode where Kramer says the line, "These pretzels are making me thirsty." There's several episodes that just really stand out when you think of the series, and I feel like the parking garage personally is one to me that stands out. Like, I could definitely say this is one of the best episodes in the entire series, in my opinion, of course. It was definitely, though, one of the hardest ones to execute. As well, first off, it was similar in style to like the Chinese restaurant. One set, even though there was, it wasn't quite real time because there was like obviously like a few like scene breaks, even though it all took place inside of a parking garage. But they had to do like the same like format. Like, yes, the main storyline was they were walking around a parking garage for hours because they can't remember where they parked. But they had to find other stories in between. Well, stories like go on as they're in there. Also, of course, Tom Sharon's mentioned how Larry David wrote it. They produced it. Larry David didn't really think about, of course, how difficult like the set design and like this would be. They thought first, they would just rent out like an actual parking garage for a few days, but that of course costed a lot more money, and with them using someone else's lot, they really didn't have as much control over some things they would like. So what they did was they took down the sets and they built a parking garage set using like mirrors, and I think they couldn't use an actual studio audience because of how much room they needed. They had like mirrors to like make it look like it's bigger than it looks. They had like 40-50 cars they were moving around, lots of extras, and they walked around a lot. It was a very exhausting episode. There'd be times where like Jerry said him and Julia Louis-Dreyfus would be like lying just flat on their backs. They'd be like, just get the sides, the face, don't worry about the back and everything. Like, they were just exhausted. But man, was this episode funny. And of course, they had to modify the ending, which was just better than what it was originally supposed to be. But so the main story, again, like I said before, the four of them went to the mall to get an air conditioner. I think most of them were looking for an air conditioner. There's only one left though, and Kramer got it. I think also George couldn't use it because it wasn't good enough for his living room, and I forgot what else was there. But Kramer got the air conditioner. Elaine got fish, and Jerry and George just tagged along. So George is mentioning how they gotta get going. At the time, it's 5 o'clock. George mentions how they gotta get going because he's supposed to be meeting his parents in front of his building around 6:15. It's their 47th anniversary, taking them out to dinner and a show. So they had about an hour and 15 minutes, and of course they were worried about traffic and everything, even though it's a Saturday afternoon. So they start walking around, and until they realize finally that they don't remember where they parked the car at. So they're freaking out. They walk around for a long period of time. Jerry has to use the bathroom. Elaine's concerned about her fish, and then Kramer is struggling with the weight of the air conditioner. We'll get to that in a little bit here, but just to continue on with the story, Elaine gets desperate and starts asking people, "Are you able to drive us around, help us find our car?" But nobody wanted to do it, which I kind of don't blame them, because why would you want to allow random strangers go into your car? And then of course they'd be like, well, maybe they would say they were splitting up, or they would say, "Oh, I'll go check on the other levels." It's like, no, if you go, then we'll never find you, and it was the case. It's like, okay, maybe I'll go check this, but it's like they couldn't split up because they were going to lose each other, not find each other in the end. even George predicted it's like, oh no, if you go away, we're never going to be able to find you, and we're going to find a car, then we won't be able to find you. Kramer, of course, got tired from carrying that air conditioner, so he puts it down under Purple 23, just so he can have a breather carrying that air conditioner around. And again, they're still having no luck. Jerry's also mentioning to George how, there's this woman there saying, come on, George, you like her and whatnot. But Jerry had to go to the bathroom. So Kramer finally was like, why don't you just go? And like, Jerry's like, I can't. It's not legal. So basically, he was just like, come on, just do it. Just go in this corner. Nobody will see you. So Jerry takes a leak in the corner. And of course, a security guard happened to be right there. And he arrests Jerry. Jerry starts up this thing where he says he has uromycetitis poisoning, which means that he can't hold it in. He has to go, like, when it happens, because he could die. And of course, the security guard believes it's complete bull crap. And then he tries to say that, oh, lost my train of thought here for a second, I'm sorry. He says it could have been a water bottle, and he says, in fact, that's what it was. I was pouring out water, and you mistaken it for me urinating. And then finally he goes, okay, I'm sorry. I want to apologize. He goes, the truth is, tonight is my parents' 50th. We'll start getting ahead of myself, as he says, is their 47th wedding anniversary, using George's story. Except for he added on to it. He said they're meeting me in front of my building at 6:15. But what he hasn't told him is that his father was in a red Chinese prison for like 14 years or something like that. Which, of course, the police officer was just not buying into it one bit. So, of course, Elaine went looking for Jerry because, obviously they lost Jerry, but they didn't know Jerry got arrested for, urinating in the parking garage. And then, of course, Kramer and George were talking, and they're talking about something about how, dying doesn't scare George. Doesn't scare Kramer. And then Kramer starts squeezing his chest when he's telling some story, and then George has to go to the bathroom. And then Kramer's like, well, why don't you just go? And of course, again, they didn't know that Jerry got arrested for urinating. And then George is like, what, here? He's like, Kramer's like, come on, you and Jerry, you're both just. He basically was implying that they're both were too afraid to take a risk. And he's like, okay. So then, of course, Kramer drifts off, and then George sneaks behind, even though, of course, George unzips his pants before he goes around the corner, and then not even a second later, boom, he's getting arrested. He's like, wait, what are you doing? I didn't do anything. Kramer, help me. But at the same time, with George, again, here's another thing of how George is just a terrible liar. As he's getting dragged away, he's trying to get his pants pulled back up. And he tells a story about explaining how he has to be in front of his parents' building for their wedding anniversary, this and that. And of course, the police officer goes, your parents have a wedding anniversary too? And George looks over and realizes that Jerry was there also. He's like, I'm here too. And he goes, and the police officer asks him, is your father also in a red Chinese prison? George is like impressed of the story that he made up, which of course did not work. And of course, at this point, Kramer can't find George. Elaine's somewhere else in the parking garage, can't find Jerry, and her fish are about dead. Which also, disclaimer, no real goldfish actually died. It was just, props. So finally, Jerry and George, I guess, had to pay a fine or whatnot. I can't remember what it was. They got out, and they were free. So now they were trying to. Well, they found Elaine. Well, which they found Elaine after they found a Mercedes that was just terribly parked. And then they do that, and then finally they see that woman earlier that Jerry was telling George that come on, go for it, George. And so then George asks her, if she doesn't mind driving them around trying to find their car, which she doesn't mind. And she introduces herself as Michelle. And then in the next cut, she kicks them out of the car. I don't know what they were arguing about, but coincidentally, she drops them off right in front of the car, and they're celebrating they found the car, but then George's like, wait, Kramer's Kramer's not here! I know it! I know this what happened! They're like, Kramer! 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 Of course, Kramer's nowhere to be found, and George was right. They would find the car, but not everybody would be there. So time goes by. Finally, they look up and they see Kramer coming, carrying that air conditioner, and saying he completely forgot where he had put that air conditioner at. And then we're found in, and George says purple 23, and at this point they're all exhausted. They're both just done with this nonsense. And then basically Kramer asks George, what time is that play start you need to be at? He goes, well, what time is it? It was 7:45. They had been there for almost 3 hours. And what time did the play start? 8 o'clock. So George basically ruined all that. But here's a little, like, secret of, like, some behind the scenes. This is some very good behind the scenes stuff, especially in the inside look. So Michael Richards was carrying around that box that had the air conditioner inside it. It was a legitimate air conditioner. He, like in The Revenge, he wanted an actual, like, 60-pound bag of cement because he wanted to actually work with the real weight and whatnot. He actually wanted to be fatigued and like, make it more realistic. He really wanted to work with the real weight of the air conditioner. So Michael Richards just takes this air conditioner when he goes to put it inside the back of the trunk, which, first off, I wonder, realistically, the story was at the beginning where it looked like that they were trying to get more than one air conditioner for, I don't think all of them, but a couple of them. So I don't know how they would have fit multiple air conditioners inside this car. But Michael Richards takes the air conditioner and, like, lurches it over his shoulder trying to get into the trunk of the car. And the trunk was, like, barely even an inch bigger than what this box was. And on the actual shot, which they of course kept in, but they had to of course edit some things out because of the everybody breaking character, launches it in there, but as it lands inside the trunk, his head just, like, bangs off of the corner and his head ricochets back, and he cut his lip and got an actual, like, bump on his lip from that box with the air conditioner. And of course that's when he keeps going on. He goes like, what time's that play start? And at this point, before they edited it in with, the time of the play and everything, Michael Richards tries to continue on character. He goes, and then in the blooper reel, he actually looks over and sees everybody laughing. He goes, I really hurt myself, Elaine. And then Jason Alexander didn't say his line, and he goes, 8 o'clock, that could be a problem. And finally he realized, like, screw it, basically. It was that, and of course, what happened after that was just a great bloop, but of course they had to do that. But unfortunately, Elaine had to throw out the fish because the fish died. And then of course they get into the car. They're all, like, depressed. They're exhausted. They just want to get out of the stupid parking garage. So they all four get in the car. Now I read two different things. Originally, they were supposed to drive around the parking garage and can't find the exit. But I on the inside look, it's showing that apparently Kramer was supposed to turn on the car, pick up the ticket stub, and go, wow, I wonder how much this is going to cost, because of how long they had been parked there and how much it was probably going to cost for them to park in that parking garage. But instead, they go into the car, and this is for real. This was not, in the script. The car wouldn't start. The car just would not start, and in the episode, you can actually see like all four of them in the car just laughing their heads off, because it's just like, of course, like, this is one, again, as I said before, this is one of the hardest and most grueling episodes they did, but it was so good and it was so funny. And then in the blooper reel, when the car wouldn't start, Michael Richards just gets out of the car, just, like, stands up, stares off into space, and just gets right back in the car and tries to start that piece of junk again. And it just wouldn't start. And they had to go with that ending. It was perfect. Like, again, I haven't said this for a few reviews, but again, like, the show should have been called, instead of Seinfeld, should have been called Dumb Luck. Their dumb luck, they forgot where they parked at, they get arrested for urinating, they lose their fish, nobody would help them, George misses out on a shot on a girl, and also he's late for his parents' anniversary celebrations, which I don't know if you ever got to do or not. And of course, what could possibly get worse? The car not starting. It was priceless. It was funny, and to me, it's just one reason why I think this is one of the more must-see episodes of Seinfeld. It was just a perfect ending, and it was just great. It was an excellent episode, and like I said, to me, I still feel like it's one of the best ones. It definitely, one that I definitely don't pass up. Like if I ever, sometimes you take TV series like sitcoms or mysteries or I'm a big fan of SVU. I'll go on to Peacock and pick out episodes that stand out to me and watch them. If I don't want to binge watch all of them. This is definitely one of those episodes that when I do just scheme through the series, definitely one I don't pass up on. Very good episode. And a lot of these episodes, especially coming up, are episodes that I personally always, don't pass up on whenever I just scheme through. But yeah, that's the parking garage. Again, my personal opinion, one of the best episodes in the series. One of the hardest ones they made, but one of the best ones. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the parking garage episode, guys. I believe next one is the cafe, where we will talk about Babu, you're bad, man. You're very, very bad, man. Very, very bad, man. Oh, I cannot wait for that one. That's another good one, too. And actually, also, there's another one. The one after that, that's one I've been hyping up for a while. That I actually think is a very underrated episode and doesn't get the appreciation that it deserves. But we'll get to that shortly. So, guys, again, that's my thoughts on the parking garage. What are your thoughts on the parking garage episode? Do you think it's one of the most must-see Seinfeld episodes? Do you think it's one of the best ones? One of your favorites? If not, please explain why down in the comment section below. Slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at DemandAirboy93. Until then, guys, I'm checking out. I will see you all later. Have a good rest of your night. Peace out, everybody.